Coach CeeBee Nyeko Escodatah, welcome to the DoubleDown show. For introductions, Coach Steve has been part of winning teams in the league. He's been part of championship teams like Bushcourt, KCCA, Livingstone, and as a coach, he has catapulted Namuwongo Blazers to the NBL. Coach Steven, can you briefly take us through your basketball love story?
Thank you for this platform. My basketball history is not complex. I started basketball in 2009 with playing with St. Michael Secondary School. By then it was in the league. It was called Div I, sponsored by MTN. I played there one season, then progressed to Livingstone, which is a Makerere team. At Livingstone, I played there about three seasons, and we progressed from the lower division Div 3 to Div 2. From there, I switched again to Bushcourt basketball. Bushcourt basketball is where I learnt a lot. At Bushcourt basketball, we really put up a good fight. From the lower division, we progressed to the first Div. Then from the first Div, we went to the NBL. Then later on, I moved again to KCCA. KCCA was a team that was being registered in 2015. So we had to. Our main target was to take it to the NBL, which I think part of me we did very well to take it to the NBL where it is right now. I can briefly say that is my basketball history.
What was your experience picking up skills as a young player? I know it's a bit different now, the way it was maybe in the days you were learning the game. What was the difference really?
The difference was really, back in the day, we couldn't access courts. There were very few courts, and even the courts that were there were being manned by, the bigger, or what you call the most established players. So for you to either join a pickup session or to be on court, you had to be, number one, patient. You had to be disciplined. And then you had to learn from the best, if I may use that word, whatever they told you, whatever they taught you. And then along the way, when you see a player doing something right, you look at it, you approach the player and try to ask, how is this done? How can I make myself better? And back then also, the players then also, would give a hand. If they see you, identify you, they would say, this kid can do this, let's do this, that's your role. So I picked up, but most importantly is being disciplined and patience.
Given that background, particularly who did you pick up the game from? Maybe there must be people you saw, and who did you idolize and who did you pick up the game from?
Of course, at that time, if we talk about the NBA, it was Allen Iverson. I really loved the way he would play the game of basketball. After most of the things I wanted to do was almost like Allen Iverson. But locally here in Uganda, there was Ken Balyejusa. I watched Ken Balyejusa and I really got inspired. I didn't see so much, but Ken Balyejusa, I got inspiration to play and push this game further. The other couple of players I watched, Ben Komakech, Richard Balemoa. Of course, I'm talking now in terms of my position. I won't go and say I idolize the guy who is like Henry Malinga, because that is,
that's out of position. With that background, what was your first league experience when you first stepped in the league, to compete, outside pickup games or outside school basketball?
It was tough. Adjusting from pickup basketball, running time basketball, to stoppage time. With officials. Playing time it was tough, I can say. But slowly by slowly, with games in, game out, you get to cope up. Being a person, you're joining a team. Like I said, most players are not disciplined. When I joined in Livingstone, maybe stop brief. I joined Livingstone. When I joined Livingstone, we were few in number, but there was a player by the names of Tony Olila. Tony Olila was the guard of Livingstone. So at that time, each time Tony Olila was on, I'm on the bench. I actually recall my very third game where Coach Pasco Alule was the person in charge then. He had not seen me in a while, so when he came on, he didn't look at me like a player. He just sidelined me, and Tony Olila took the show, which was okay. We won the game. Then maybe fortunately or unfortunately, Tony Olila got busy, and then the next game they had to field me. And I always tell myself and tell players, when you're given the chance, please explode. So when I was given that chance to guard and play the game, I'm pleased that my teammates never regretted and the coach never regretted either. So I started growing up mentally, physically, strongly in the game of basketball as a guard.
You were able to build a brand at Bushcourt, where a lot of people say it's a team that has pedigree because it's been around since 1992. But until your regime, it was known for maybe other things that not exactly basketball. You run us through your days at Bushcourt. You one of the teams to ever take a championship from City Oil. I don't know if people have that on record.
No, they don't have.
You take us through about the Bushcourt times.
Bushcourt, when I joined Bushcourt, actually it was I was recruited by Coach Perry, but our target was to bring a new brand, to bring a new feeling to the Bushcourt name, and a couple of players were brought on board. Players I didn't know but would see. Of course, Chuchu came in, Sosen, Emma Masaba, Ivan Tumurami, I can mention. But when we got together, we became a family. By a family, I mean we didn't despise each other, but we took the game seriously, and everything counted. If you made a mistake, whether you're the captain, whether you're the one putting in the money, you are counted for everything. So we grew up as a family, and days at Bushcourt were really amazing. I can never forget those are days I up to now I say that is where my best basketball I've ever played and enjoyed, because there was a lot of trust, there was a lot of discipline, there was friendship, there was togetherness. Aside from basketball, we used to fellowship together and have talks one-on-one, family gatherings, so it was easy to clinch a championship. You've mentioned something that many people don't know. City Oil doesn't have the championship of the lower division, Div I, but occasionally I hear people say they don't have it. Bushcourt has it actually, so we have Bushcourt has the championship and qualified as the champion, and City Oil came in as the first runner-up.
Actually, it was a sweep. In the finals.
Yeah, it was a sweep in the finals.
Was a sweep.
Yeah.
But and talking about City Oil since those days, I know you represent Namuwongo Basketball and Blazers to say, but you come from a time where you witnessed the rise of City Oil. You saw the making of this thing that is City Oil now. As we talk now, there are seven titles deep in the NBL. Yeah, that is. Let's say they've been in the last 9 finals of their existence. Yeah. The one they lost to Bushcourt, and then 2012 they won it in the final.
I think against
Diamonds. Yeah. And then when they qualified to the NBL, it's been win. You as someone who has seen that story, what do you have to say about that franchise in itself?
That franchise is here, is with us. It's not about time they are going to leave. I'll tell you for a fact that I've seen City Oil build up. I'll re-echo certain things that discipline and patience has taken City Oil to where they are right now. They started small, they kept on recruiting, and they are benefiting. One thing I know for sure is at the time when they were building, of course, in this local league, I've come to believe every time a team comes from down, there is that notion that they will be relegated, they will go back the way they came. So most teams, the likes of Power, Warriors, Falcons, then thought they were, the big dogs, and City Oil is just coming in. Either way, they may go back the way they came, or they may struggle somewhere, not knowing that these guys had planted a seed to germinate. So the time we realized City Oil was already having 3 championships in their bag, the times teams now started saying, let's recruit, let's have this, let's do this. City Oil was now into the zonals, and they are now 7-time and still running for the 8th. So their journey is...
I'll skip ahead, somewhere, and really, I tend to believe that your team, the team that you coach now, the team you've coached, Namuwongo Blazers, you brought them from Div I. You've been there from day one. You brought the team as coach from Div II.
Div II.
To Div I, and now they're in the NBL. How much of that story do you want to pick from, City Oil and pick up from there? Like, how much of a force do you want to be as Dam Blazers?
Thank you. As Dam Blazers, when we started, the team was started in 2015, and it was a couple of let's go and play, pick up basketball, with old people around the community. Then we started gaining more and said, okay, we can put a step ahead. What I can tell you is, being part of Dam Blazers, and I emphasize this as a person, that we emphasize discipline. Okay, we emphasize discipline and make sure we have a target. We wanted to look at a step at a time, and that's how we have been building. We have been building step at a time. But of course, we have built it on discipline, hard work. So there's whoever joins Dam Blazers, whether management or as a player, it's hard work and discipline. Discipline cuts across so many things. Doesn't only, look at the game itself. So I think we are up for run.
When you're in Div II, you want to get promoted to Div I. When you're in Div I, you want to make it to the NBL. And when you're in the NBL, you want to compete, you want to stay, you want to be a formidable force. What's the story going to be like for Blazers?
The story for Blazers right now, we are in the NBL. We have made recruitments. Someone may call it massive, whatever it is. We have made recruitments. Our main target, number 1, is to clinch the playoffs. Initially it was avoiding relegation, but I'll tell you, I cannot undermine the kind of players we have brought on board.
Which are some of the names you've brought on board, to help you reach that desired goal? Okay.
From the guarding position, we brought Fame Sebatindira from Betway Power. That position is lacking because initially our number 1 point guard, Rai Loak, has shifted gears to City Oil, the champions, so we had to cover that gap. We had to bring in also Cyrus Chiviri, still from Betway Power. I'll bring him as a number 2 because then we are lacking again Cheng, who, the Sudanese, he has a little bit of issues that he had to solve, so we allowed him to step back a bit. So we brought in also Emma Okumu from Sharing Youth to fill up on the number 3 spot. We have Kojo Michael from Falcons, big man. We have a player in Otto Joseph. He's a big man. Not so many are familiar with him, but For us who have been there with him at Bushcourt, we know him and what he can bring on board. We have Paul Dong, aka MacGyver from Betway Power. MacGyver initially is from home, so I mean it is just a shift back home, and for him he was our number one signing because he already made it clear he's coming back home. So I believe with those additions we are going Cyrus Chiviri, yes, I've mentioned him. We have Dudus Monoja, previously for JKL, but now coming in to join the big men. Katumba Derek as well from Indeje. So I believe we have put up a team that can compete favorably.
Not to be critical, but there are voices out there, especially when new teams come in the NBL. It always looks like they're recycling players, the same old faces we've seen here, the same old faces we've seen there, and then you tend to get them, part of the new brand.
One thing that people don't know is the Blazers management would be totally mad to let go of those young players, honestly. These are players who are our family, and I will tell you, even where they are still part of family. We talk, we do what, but at a certain stage in life, you have to give the players room to decide. Many people don't know that Emma McQuay was a City Oiler. We got him on loan. So if you watch the playoffs, they kind of struggled in that department. So City Oil management called back Emma McQuay. We thank him for his services, but we had to let him go. Peter Cheng looked at, he still has some books to read and all that, so he couldn't continue, believing that in the bigger stage he had to put in a lot of work, and I mean balancing it with books would a little bit be tight, so we also let him be. Rai, of course, he just came to us and told us, I've been approached and I'm joining City Oil. We went in talks with City Oil, and I mean we made amicable understandings and let him go. Okay, so that gap is huge. We had to recycle and get some other players on board.
So you went poaching. I'll call it poaching in power. Is Blazers power reincarnate?
No. We didn't go poaching in power. We the Blazers management sat down and looked at every sport and what they needed to bring on board, and according to the available players. Because if you realize, most of those players, I think with power, their contracts were done, unless I'm mistaken somewhere, but I am told their contracts were done, so they were open to any talks. We would love to get any player, Jimmy Enabu, but I mean they are still tied up to their teams. They have contracts with their teams, so we couldn't do much. But just look at the available players, approach them, and if it's a yes, we brought them on board. So Betway is not the Blazers. Those are two different clubs.
So Blazers is not Betway Power, the reincarnate.
Yeah.
Still, maybe this could be a bit of an administrative question, but many of these players you're bringing on board, they are high-profile players, I should say.
True.
And we all know that teams that come from the lower league, they really struggle with finances, and sometimes sustaining these players at their new place could become hard. As Blazers, what have you done to make sure that these players are comfortable? Do you have any money running in to pay their salaries and facilitate their allowances? How is it working for a new team to be able to bring on board, to secure contracts with these players, and how sustainable is it for you as a team?
First and foremost, the moment we cleaned the spot in NBL, we had already started working behind closed doors to secure sponsorship. So we secured the sponsor who is yet to be unveiled, and we and they're willing to support us in whatever way. For the players, both old and new, we developed contracts for them, and with specific confidential whatever package everybody has, and we hope, and I'm sure we shall sustain them. We offered what we could. We didn't come out of our way. We offered what we could, and I'm happy they all accepted the little that we could offer. So I think we shall be able to sustain them and be with them.
What should teams do to attract sponsorships and to look attractive to people who can put money in the game?
Clubs should package themselves well, be organized. I don't want to. When you look at Blazers, I think we try to be organized from the start. We try to package ourselves in a way that can sell ourselves to a sponsor. Both paperwork, most of our clubs. I don't know so much about the NBL, but in the lower division, I don't think they have serious documentation. Sponsors, when they come on board, there are things they want to see. What is your structure like? Who governs what? Who says what? Who is in charge of this? How are funds used? Who accounts for what? Most clubs, it's the manager who does the payment, who does this, sits down with the 1-2 coaches, they decide. But for us as Blazers, we had a structure that we have been following right from the start. So it has helped us, sell ourselves to the sponsor. When we went to the sponsor and gave ourselves in, they looked at our structure, called in for our paperwork, everything was good to go. So they told us they will give us a feedback, and we are happy when they made that call that they're on board. We knew we had to change our target as well.
Also, still in the same line, you would say that Blazers is a community team.
Yeah.
Among the few community teams, you can look around the few community teams that are really left. You can only see maybe Gulu Hawks, and Tebe Night Riders, like really teams that carry names of where they come from. Yeah, most of the other teams are maybe universities. How is it sustaining a community team, especially in achieving what you have achieved? Because at the start, you didn't really have access to these players like Cyrus TV or the other players that don't come. How do you attract members of the community? One, to get involved as players, and two, as fans and as financiers to see the thing going.
I think as Blazers we are lucky because of our location as well. Because when you see Blazers being in the community of Namuwongo, I'll tell you, we didn't need so much to attract the players. We were just centered around. I stay here, Chichu Brand stays next door. We are just within together, so it's easy to make a phone call. Hey, let's go for pickup. Even when there's a problem, there's a problem at Brian's place. So we're already a community. So, and we love the game of basketball and already fellowshipping. So as you walk to the court, many other kids are wondering where are these athletes going. So they also keep on coming on board and like, they are going to play basketball where at so and so. So they also join. So in that case, when we're even dispersing, everybody knows this whole lot is basketball related. They are coming from pickup. So people keep on joining on board. It's just the community we are together. When you even visit, you'll find we are not far away from each other. So maintaining it also, we wanted, being that we are in the NBL and we needed to do some recruitments, we didn't sideline the community. We still have a program for the community. It's going to keep on running. We wanted to register another team in the lower division. We are still in talks with the federation. They had stopped any more inclusion of men's teams. So we are still in talks. If they don't give it to us, we shall maybe look at other options next year. Maybe buy a team or something like that. But we still need a program to feed into the people playing in the NBL. We have so many young lads still around.
So you briefly, you run us through, how using Namuwongo Blazers as the blueprint, how other teams, the teams that have struggled to, and they have like forever, they're now traditional Div I or Div II teams. If teams really harbor the aspirations of making it to the NBL, what is it that they're supposed to do? Picking from your blueprint, can you just share what they can do to make sure they make it to the Valhalla?
First and foremost is many of our teams here in the lower division, take the game of basketball for fun. Pick up a few people, come and play. Then at the end of it all, they feel like we are there, we are in the playoffs. Then at the playoffs you break. But I believe teams, and I'm using Namuwongo Blazers as a blueprint, like said, first and foremost, if you've decided to play and look at the championship and the trophy, number one is you must train. You must train. No excuses. There is a very big excuse in the lower division. When it comes to training, people don't show up. When it comes to a Saturday game, everybody shows up. There are only 12 jerseys, but 18 people all show up and they want that jersey. I keep on asking myself, why can't you sacrifice training at times, but all the time when it's a game day, whether it's Sunday, whether it's a weekday on a Wednesday, the 18 players are all there to play. So get serious, cut that out. Use the players that you have. Use the players that you have. Train them, use the same basics. Let them be disciplined. Let them, become a family. When you become a family, I don't mind what you do. If I give you my shot, however bad your position is, I believe you can take it. I trust that. I'll discuss other things later. I have tried together with our team and my other coaches to build such a brand in Namuwongo Blazers. Trust whoever is there, and discipline. I'll keep everything I'm going to say here will rotate around discipline. If you don't train, don't expect a jersey. If you don't communicate in time, don't expect anything. People wait for 5 o'clock and then they communicate, I'm not showing up for practice, because maybe he thinks you're going to run or you're going to do something. I have a couple of young players back in the community who I wanted to recruit in Namuwongo Blazers, but I will tell you, I was shocked when you ask other people why these boys are not in Namuwongo Blazers, and the reasons they give is those guys run a lot. Those guys run Baduka. Yes. So you wonder if basketball is a walking game. So my cry to teams, if you want to be successful, please don't have second chances on certain things. Let people be disciplined. Let people listen. Let people practice. Okay. Let us respect the game, respect the opponent, respect each other. That way you're successful and you'll get it.
I see a bit of that is on the administrative side, and from the tactical side.
Tactical side.
What can a coach do to win ball games in Div I and Div II?
Tactical side, I can give you just a few things. Number one, many of our coaches after a game they walk away. One practice I have for myself is after a game I sit around to watch the other games or maybe my opponents. It could be NBL, lower division, even the ladies. You can pick something from the ladies. That way you know how a coach the other side calls his timeouts, how he makes his substitutions, who is their go-to guy, what is their consistent play. When you have that in mind, then you can counteract. But if you, after a game, you just look at yourself and we are finished winning this game, let's go, we meet these guys next weekend, it cannot happen. So you need to watch your opponents, those that you're going to play, even the next day, plan for them accordingly, according to their strength and their weaknesses.
throughout your basketball engagement and career, you've been a leader. As a captain, I can testify, when you were at Bushcoat and KCCA, you were my captain for all those years, and still captain a year after I left KCCA. And then you also double as the commissioner for the youth at the Federation of Uganda Basketball Association. Briefly tell us about your motivation for being involved in leadership, and as the youth commissioner, what you're doing to make sure the game is vibrant among the youth.
Thank you. As a leader, both as a captain, the inspiration, I don't think I chose myself to be a captain, but most teams looked at what I could do, what I would bring on board in terms of organizing teams and making sure the right thing is done. In all teams, there must be somebody who's leading them. I mean, when it's practice time, someone who comes in when the coach is not around or when management is not around. And most teams have really trusted me with that role, which I think I've not disappointed. But that brought me to the role of youth commission or the youth commissioner. That role, basically, I am responsible for the youth under 18 mostly, and related to basketball. Identifying talent, involving myself with the youth so that we have to create programs that they are not away into other things like drugs and all that. We fellowshipping the work of basketball. Also identifying the talent to be streamed to the national team and thereafter maybe to clubs. So that role, I'm happy because right now what we are doing is structuring. We are first doing the structuring bit of it. We have a technical director whom I'm working with closely to make sure that we structure well that commission so that things can be done well. We are accountable to the federation, to the stakeholders on how, because previously there were questions arising. Who selects the national team? Who does this? But we are doing something behind closed doors to make sure all that is good.
Bushcoat being the only team that has been able to beat City Oil in any finals. Can you tell us a bit about that legacy?
That legacy was tough. City Oilers believed they are the team. Bushcoat believed they are the force. So each time we met, those were crazy battles. They had very good players. They had in Caesar, then very tall, huge guy with, very good basics. They had Okello, who is still playing now, very energetic and good to watch. They had a couple of players good. They had Tendo, Andrew, now coach. But also on the other side, Bushcoat, we had I myself, we had Chuchu Brian, we had Ivan Tumrame, Emma Masaba, to mention but a few. So each time we met, those were battles. But we met, I can tell you, we met about 9 times. 7 in the lower division, which we beat. Even to the final, we beat them 3 straight in game 5 to clinch the championship and qualify for first division. And then and in first division we beat them again in regular season, home and away. But we didn't know what was coming up in the playoffs. They took us down 2-1. They took us down 2-1 in the best of 3, and they qualified for the finals against, I think, Diamonds the Sun. That they beat and went to NBL. But it was always good playing against City Oil. Mande Jurini, the coach now, was then the guard, and playing against him was also a hard paper. But slowly they have clinched their spots and they're way there. As a coach, I really want to push the game of basketball to another level with the Namuwongo Blazers, and hopefully with God, I think all that will be possible. I look up to the other coaches, but I look up to mainly 2 coaches, Mande Juruni and Coach Nick Natereza. I've followed these two coaches for a while.
Personal preferences.
Yeah.
Best song on your playlist right now?
Best song on my playlist right now, it's reggae jam.
Specific?
Not specific.
Anything reggae, the whole genre.
Yeah, genre.
Best shoes?
They are Kyrie's.
Who is your best Ugandan goat?
Best Ugandan goat. It's a tough call, but best Ugandan goat. I'll go for Jimmy and Abu.
And the NBA?
NBA, I'll go for Kobe Bryant.
Kobe.
The late Kobe Bryant.
Legends are forever. Who would you want to see next on this show? On Double Down?
On Double Down, I want to see a Kong Joseph.
You Kong Joseph, you've been called out. You call him out.
A Kong Joseph, assistant captain of the national team, please. I request you to be on this show. I'm going to look for you.
Where do you see basketball going in the future?
Basketball in Uganda is great in the future. There are a lot of good things happening. There are programs running, and I'm happy to note that FIBA is also helping us. FIBA has identified Uganda as one of the fast growing countries in the game of basketball. So I see us going greater heights. We have the ladies section that is really growing up. We have massive recruitment from the high school teams, and the people out there, the coaches, the young coaches, doing great work at high school, making sure that we have good talent coming out. I upload them. The men as well. We are having camps. We are having academies that are grooming talent here and there, and that way we shall not dwell so much on the foreign-based players, but we shall groom talent locally here. That will stay as a good foundation for the team. So I believe basketball, we're on the right track.
Any final remarks for the viewers of the Double Down show?
Final remarks is viewers, please stay home, stay safe until we are okayed to play and fellowship in the game of basketball. Till then, see you.